Hello everybody and welcome back to the xSmithyx YouTube channel, here today for another brand new video for round number 9 of our Jgrl Esports season. If you did miss the last episode, uploaded about a week and a half ago now, do go and check that one out. It was a very good race for us around the American Grand Prix circuit, and we did come away with our third win of the season as we tried to get back into the championship fight. However, onto today's video, we are here for the Spanish Grand Prix around this Barcelona circuit. This is probably my favourite track in the game at the minute. I'm loving driving around this track. We did this track in pre-season testing before the season and we looked absolutely mighty around here. It's not the best for overtaking, it does have to be said. Quite difficult to get past people around this circuit, especially with the setup we are running this weekend. We are running the max downforce setup around this track. It's going to leave us a little bit vulnerable down that very long back straight. However, through the corners around this circuit, we are absolutely mighty, as you're going to see throughout this race weekend. So hopefully that will give us the advantage we need to come away from this race with a win. You can see the first lap in qualifying here in Q1, as always, just a bit of a banker lap. We're not even running in rich revs, let alone max revs. So a very conservative banker lap for us there. Still gets us through Q1 nice and simply there in a comfortable P2. So looking forward to this race. Hopefully we can get a good result in this one. And to put us on our way towards that here in Q2, we are going to try and qualify on the medium compound tyre to put us on the best strategy for the race. This circuit is so harsh on tyre wear, especially on the soft tyres. They are a lot faster, but they are so sensitive to tyre wear, and they will drop off extremely quickly if you are not careful. So we're going to try and qualify on the medium tyre. It will be slightly slower at the start of the race, but the longevity of this tyre around this circuit is absolutely crazy, and that will really put us into play for a one-stop strategy. You can maybe get away with a one-stop soft to hard tyres around this circuit, but you will be really slow at the end of the first stint, and obviously you'll then have to extend your hard tyre stint very long into this race. That's not something I was comfortable doing. So we are going to try and qualify on the medium tyres for this Grand Prix. You can see on this lap, a little bit scruffy. It's not the best lap I've ever done. We usually, though, we do ramp up our pace into Q3, so I'm not too concerned as long as we do get through this session with an improvement. But as you can see at the moment, we are slightly down on the banker lap we set on a very worn set of soft tyres. We go purple through the middle sector though, so like I said, just showing how much pace we have through the middle sector, that even on the mediums we are the fastest person around that part of the circuit. Coming into the final sector now, this very tricky final sector, very twisty. You've got to make sure you are on the perfect line through here. See, that's not too bad of a line through there. It's not ideal though. We are still up, and as we come across the line, it is going to be an improvement. So that is our objective completed. We are going to start the race on this set of tyres with a 1:16.5 there. Not the best lap I've ever done around this circuit. As you can see, that is P4, surprisingly. If you look eagle-eyed there, you can see that Evan and One and Only both set no time in this session and were knocked out. That is because they actually crashed out in qualifying. Very difficult corner at the top of the hill at turn 9. It's a blind apex. If you run a little bit too wide on the exit of that corner, as people found out, it just spits you into the wall on the other side of the circuit, and people were going to become victim to that, especially in this session. Our championship rival, Ranger, actually crashed out of Q3, so he's going to start the race from P10. So that is one rival out of the way, but you can see at the top there, as we start our lap in Q3, our last lap, B Dodo has gone purple. He is the fastest man, and that is the time we need to beat to try and secure yet another pole position. We've been so strong in qualifying this season, so hopefully we can repeat that here in Q3. We saw the AlphaTauri there getting out of the way through the first sector. Huge improvement for us. Our first lap once again set on a worn set of soft tyres, just a banker lap to get our eye in. But this is our first real lap in anger. We've got max revs, we've got the best tyres possible on the car, and we're going to see what we can do. As we come into turn 7, you need to use a lot of that inside curve there. Don't run too wide on the exit. And as I say that, we do run wide. But here we go, this is the corner I was on about. If you run too wide from here, you see we get a little bit of oversteer there. We managed to catch it. Some other people weren't so fortunate. We are purple through the middle sector, up by over a second at this point in the lap. And now through this very difficult final sector, we're going to try and use the grip from the soft tyres. Fly it into this corner. You need to get on the throttle as early as you possibly can out of here. Use the outside curve to widen this corner up. Clatter that inside curve down into third. Now this very tricky final chicane. Don't turn in too early. You don't want to hit those sausage curbs too hard. We get a nice exit. Use the AstroTurf. And as we power up to the line, it's over a 2-second improvement. We cross the line, and once again this season, another pole position. So happy with that one, especially with the gap back to people behind us. That was a crazy lap from us there. Like I said, I love driving around this circuit, but I wasn't expecting to be that far ahead of everyone else. You see, B Dodo will line up alongside us, just ahead of Haydos Cheese, a new driver to the league, very quick. So we're going to see what he can do as we go to the race. Unfortunately for Haydos, he does get a jump start through a glitch in the game here, so he has already got a drive-through penalty. But as we go to 5 red lights and away for the Spanish Grand Prix, we get a decent start. Obviously, we're going to be a bit slower on this medium tyre, so straight away we chop over to the inside. We need to defend this lead into turn 1. Haydos is challenging us. We're going to push him straight to the line. He's off the circuit, but still gives us a push there. Not really sure why he was trying to hold that around the outside. It was never going to work there, but we do still have the lead. But coming off this corner, he's still challenging us for the lead. He's got a drive through, so I don't know why he's doing that. And he makes contact and puts us in the wall there. Not the best start to this Grand Prix. By turn 4 on lap 1, we're already down into last place. And it is safe to say I was absolutely furious at this point. I've no idea what Haydos was doing. He has a drive-through anyway. He's going to have to come into the pits. So I don't know what he was trying to achieve there, trying to take the lead, because he's going to lose it anyway. Bit of a, I don't know, a bit stupid driving from me, maybe a bit stupid driving from him as well, but it does mean that we are in the pits at the end of lap 1 from last place in the Grand Prix with severe front wing damage. And this is now going to be yet another recovery drive for us this season. Becoming a little bit of a habit, not one that I am very happy about. But there's nothing we can do now. We've bolt on another set of mediums. We're just going to go as long as we can. Try and execute the same strategy and do a one-stop from here. And yeah, just going to have to see what we can do. It's a long race around this circuit, 33 laps. It's only lap 2, so we're just going to have to get our head down now. If you look in the top left, you can see Haydos served his drive-through and has come out 20-odd seconds ahead of us. So that's very frustrating, considering that is a guy who put us in the wall at the end of lap 1. So yeah, not the start to the race we wanted, but like I said, nothing we can do about it now. Fortunately for us, Ranger also had difficulties on the first lap, and he has had to pit as well. He's just ahead of us, so we're just going to get our head down now and literally try and set the fastest laps possible. It was basically time trial for us at this point. Qualifying lap after qualifying lap. See a purple lap on the last one, we go even quicker on the lap after that, and we're just trying to do our best to close up to this gaggle of cars. And now we're on to another one of my annoyances in this league, is the AI drivers. They are so erratic. Obviously they're set at a lower pace to sort of punish people for not turning up to Grand Prix, but you're going to see here, I've no idea what this car's doing, swerving across when we're already up the inside. It's so dangerous trying to get through this. And we've got a line of about 7 or 8 AI drivers in this race, all of whom me and Ranger are currently trying to get past. Honestly, every time I come up to an AI driver that I have to overtake for position, my heart is in my mouth. You just don't know what they're going to do. And they are so laggy as well for me. So it's very difficult to try and make moves stick. We're going to try and go around the outside of this McLaren here, just to try and get through. You can see Ranger is just a couple of positions ahead. We don't want to lose touch with him in this race. As we're coming through here, the McLaren gives us a touch on the rear. No idea what he's trying to achieve with that one. He's up the inside again here, so we're going to have to cut that corner, because the AI will literally just drive into you. They don't care if you're there, and I'm not risking a collision. You see that McLaren so laggy there. Honestly, at that point I thought I was about to get lag bubbled into a wall. We are through though, but as you can see, this is a downside. Even with DRS, we are not pulling away down the straight from that McLaren, showing that difficulty I spoke about earlier. We have gone for a maximum downforce setup. It is making us mighty through these corners, but it just means we're so slow on the straight. Next up, we've got another Williams, just a couple of these AI drivers left, and then my heart rate can go back down to normal. We're not going to be able to make it around the outside here. Try a little switchback, we get a good exit, but again, you're going to see here, he just lags across the circuit, hits us once, hits us twice. And somehow, I've no idea how we didn't get any damage from that. We got so lucky, because that would have been our race over right there. But as it is, we have managed to get through. Just 2 AI drivers to get past now as we go wide there with my thumb came off the controller. I was in full-on sweat mode at this point in the race, just trying to get as good a result as possible, because obviously we want to get back in this championship fight. We send a horrific dive bomb here down the inside of that Alfa Romeo. We do get it stopped off the circuit a little bit on the exit, but we're up into P9. So already a great recovery within 8 laps of this Grand Prix. We've gone from 20th up to P9. Obviously we're going to get another easy position here with the last AI driver, and then it is a straight fight to see where can we get in this Grand Prix. Hopefully we can get past this AI nice and easily down the straight. As you can see, nice exit there. We're going to get DRS. We use the ERS on the exit, give it a massively wide berth there. Don't want to risk any contact, and that is us actually up into P7 as someone made a pit stop. Now we jump ahead all the way up to lap number 17. We had no overtaking, there was nothing to show except us just putting our foot down and driving as quickly as possible. And you can see with everyone making their pit stops at the minute, we're up into P3 in this Grand Prix. Absolutely crazy stuff. Me and Ranger just pulling each other along here up into the position that we are in. Ranger P2, me in P3. Obviously we do still have to make a pit stop, and at this point my tyres were starting to go off. So what we're going to do, we're going to come in on the end of this lap, a couple of laps earlier than Ranger's planning to pit. And my hope was, if we go into a brand new set of tyres, onto the hards, obviously we have to run those because we've run mediums twice already in this race. Hopefully we can try and get an undercut. We're not going to come out too far behind this Jgrl. Obviously the one and only and B Dodo there in the top left have overtaken us. They have already made their final stops. They've been driving great in this Grand Prix and they are fighting for a podium, in fact. But we are going to come out just a couple of seconds behind Chris. We've got a bit of clean air, and my hope was if we could just run at our own pace as quickly as possible in these couple of laps, we might actually be able to jump Ranger when he makes his second stop, and that would put us in a great position in this Grand Prix. But before we can start thinking about that, we've got to try and catch up to Chris. He's just a couple of seconds ahead of us, but compared to us, his tyres are so much older. He's been on them for about 8 or 9 laps now. We've got fresh, out of the blankets, hard tyres. Hopefully we can use those to good advantage, and you can see already the time we're gaining through corner entry especially, but the amount of mid-corner speed we're able to carry is so significant compared to Chris at this point in the race. So we are gaining massively. You can see already within the DRS detection range that we will come into at the top of the hill. So hopefully it shouldn't be too long before we can find a way through, but like I've said, it is very difficult to overtake on this circuit, and we need to get it done as quickly as possible if we want to challenge Ranger. You can see into there just how much more entry speed we are able to carry under braking. Obviously slightly missed my braking point, but still the point shows just how much quicker we are than Chris. But like I said, the problem we're going to have is we're not going to be able to get past him down the straights simply because we're carrying so much downforce in this car. It's going to have to be done through the corners, and as you can see, this is going to be the perfect example. Down this straight we've got overtake mode, we're using rich revs, we've even got DRS, and we just don't gain at all on the Renault in front of us. Certainly less than ideal, to put it mildly, but like I said, we're going to have to get the move done through the corners. This is as close as we have been, and you're going to see through the corners, even with the dirty air coming off the back of that Renault, we're still able to basically stick to its gearbox. So surely it's only a matter of time before we manage to find a way through. You're going to see into this corner especially just how much more speed we're able to carry into the corner. Our exits are so even, and we see an opportunity here. We're just going to have to send it down the inside, get the move done. He is still there on the outside, so we're going to leave him a little bit of space. I think he runs wide on the exit. I didn't try and push him off the circuit there, and we are up into P5 in this one. So a great recovery from us at this point, and we're just going to have to see what we can do in the remaining laps. And we've jumped ahead to lap 21. This is crucial. You can see in the top left there, Ranger is now in the pits. He is going to go onto medium tyres. He basically did the opposite strategy to what we've done. We've gone soft to medium. He's gone medium to soft. So we have to come out in front of him because he's going to be faster in the last part of this race. Have we done enough, or has that battle with Chris cost us? It looks like it has. You can see he's come out just a second up the road. Absolutely crucial there for him then that Chris held us up as much as he did on that lap. I think had we been able to run our absolute peak pace for that lap, we probably would have jumped Ranger, but that is our opportunity gone now. He's just going to disappear down the road. Like I said, he's got fresher tyres than us by about 2 laps, and they are softer and therefore quicker. So as you can see, onto lap 29 now, he's disappeared up the road. And this brings us to something I mentioned in another Grand Prix, the Canadian Grand Prix, if you watch that one. But this was the straw that broke the camel's back really in terms of the rules in this league around people deliberately causing safety cars. Now, during this race there were quite a few people who had collisions, who had wing damage, who had to pit, and were so far off the pace that they started begging people to cause safety cars on purpose, just to get them back into the Grand Prix. You can see on the pit straight there was a yellow flag. I think it was the Haas that has caused it, but we've now got a full course safety car right at the end of this race. And the reason this has been so controversial is because it's going to screw people now who have done great Grand Prix. For example, up in P2 at the minute, we have the one and only who, you know, he won't mind me saying, hasn't been on the pace of the top drivers this season. He's been a bit further off. He's a very, very good driver, don't get me wrong, but he's not been in contention for a podium at any point in this season. He currently finds himself in P2. With the instance that I've had, B Dodo slipped down the order a bit, Ranger's down the order. He's found himself in a position to fight for a podium in this Grand Prix, and he had a huge lead over us. There was no way that we were going to be able to catch him. But now we're all going to be right on his tail with 3 laps to go, or 2 laps to go even, when the safety cars come in. And he's now going to have to fight for a podium that really he has deserved. We've got Evan as well, was leading the race by a country mile. He's driven fantastically in this one, and he's coming to the pits for soft tyres, as pretty much everyone does at the end of a race if there's a safety car. He's lost the lead now because Ranger has decided not to come into the pits. So Ranger has gambled on not stopping, but that means he's now leading, and people have been screwed out by this. You can see the one and only is currently in P3, but he's now under threat for that position because he's got B Dodo, a very, very quick driver, all over the back of him, and myself. So this is the one that's brought the rule. There is now a rule in place against this. If it happens, it's an automatic one race ban, I think the rule is. So you won't see this again, but this really, really annoyed me, even though, to be fair, it does help me out. Once I get past all these AI drivers on the restart here, I'm only going to be a couple of seconds behind a podium, but it's not really fair. I shouldn't be in this position, really. So I'm very glad to see that rule has changed. But as you can see, in the top left, B Dodo has got past one and only now on the restart down into turn 1, which means, unfortunately, the one and only has been screwed out of a podium. I was so sorry for him because he's driven a fantastic race this time around, but he's now down into P4. We've got a few more AI drivers to be able to catch. Unfortunately, the game doesn't let the AI drivers unlap themselves, so we've got all these cars to try and get past before we can even get onto the back of Ryan. Already on the penultimate lap, so it might be a bit too late for us to be able to do anything in this one. Ranger does still lead this race incredibly, despite the fact he's on so worn medium tyres. Just because the track is so difficult to overtake around, Evan isn't able at this point to try and reclaim the lead, and he's only going to have one lap to do it. Obviously no DRS after a safety car for 2 laps, but the safety car came in with less than 2 laps left anyway, so there won't be any DRS to aid in overtaking, and that is going to mean it's going to be so difficult for anyone to make a change in this Grand Prix. We're also closely matched in this one. Obviously everyone's on soft tyres, brand new soft tyres, except for Ranger, who looks like he's going to look into a race win in this one, which is definitely not what we want in our battle for the championship. We're down in P5, we're going to end up losing 15 points to him in this race because he's got lucky with the safety car. Obviously fair play to him, he's rolled the dice, and at the minute it does look like it's going to pay off, but you know, it does make me start to second guess, should we have stayed out as well and been in the fight for the race lead? Well, there's nothing we can do about it now. All we've got is one lap now, the final lap of this race. Can we get something done against Ryan? Can we gain P4 in this one? You see, as we come into here, just got so much more confidence. Ryan goes a little bit early on there. He goes wide on the exit, which does give us a bit of an advantage. Into this corner, you see Ryan locks up and goes a little bit too wide. We follow him in a bit deep there. This is what I mean about Ryan. He's very, very quick. He's maybe not as consistent as some of the topper guys, but on his day, he's very, very quick. He deserved the podium in this race, but it's been taken away from him. Are we going to be able to get a move done? Through there, we get hit with a huge wall of dirty air. I think we're just too far back. It'd be a little bit rude to try and dive bomb him from this far back, and that is the last overtaking opportunity on this circuit pretty much. There's nothing we're going to be able to do. It is going to be a P5 for us. You see X O'Connor behind. He's currently in P6, but has about a year and a half worth of penalties for some reason in this race, so he's not going to finish there. But we come around the final chicane, nothing we can do. We're going to be P5. We're going to have Ryan P4, B Dodo P3, and unfortunately for us, Evan just could not find a way past Ranger, and he is going to win the Spanish Grand Prix. Here we are for the results screen. Confirmation that the top 3, Ranger wins in Spain for Williams, just ahead of Evan and B Dodo. The one and only, like I said, absolutely robbed of a podium in this race. We come home in P5 for Mercedes, with Haydos, the guy we tangled with at turn 1, actually finishing behind us in P6. Like I said, still a bit annoyed about that incident. He had a drive-through penalty, so I don't know why he's trying to race us there. But what's done is done now. Chris ends up down in P7. Disappointing race by his standards, definitely. Jack for Racing Point gets P8, just ahead of our teammate X O'Connor with those penalties as I mentioned. And coming home with the last points of this Grand Prix would be Logan Josh in the other Alpha Tauri. So with that done, let's have a look at what that has done for the Drivers' Championship in this race. You can see Ranger now has a 30-point lead at the top of the standings, really stamping his authority on this championship. Chris moves up just ahead of X O'Connor in that very close battle for P2. We have closed right up to that with another decent result for us, obviously not the race we wanted. B Dodo a bit further back in this battle, he's on 93 points down in P5, with Evan in P6 after that second place. And then you can see there's this massive gap back. We've really got 2 tiers of championship this season, the top 6 really starting to pull away, and then this very, very close midfield fight, to be fair. P7 there is Nab Cosplayer, we've got Jack in P8, just 5 points back from him. Token Abyss is 4 points further back, and then Mr. Dodo rounding out the top 10, but behind him there's probably about another 4 or 5 drivers separated by just 4 points. So it's a very, very close championship in that midfield. It's going to be very interesting to see who is going to prevail in that one with the races to come, with points very hard to come by for the midfield drivers. So that is definitely something we're going to be keeping an eye on as the season progresses. But on to the Constructors Championship. It'll be no surprise to anyone to see the dream team, as I've mentioned all season, me and X O'Connor still leading that championship. We are well on the way to securing our first ever league racing title. Unfortunately, it is going to be the constructors rather than the drivers, but at the end of the day, a championship is a championship. We've got Williams there in P2. They're about 47 points behind us. Obviously, even though Ranger is dominating the championship, he's just not backed up by a teammate like we are with X O'Connor, and that is why we're so far ahead. Similarly, with Renault there in P3, obviously Chris doing a great job, slightly being let down by his teammate. We've got Alpha Tower in P4, just ahead of Ferrari there in P5, and again, those top 5 all have what I'd say would be the higher caliber driver in this season. Then you can then see the gap between them and the rest of the field, and this is where all the midfield drivers are in a very close battle. You can see Alfa Romeo, Racing Point and Red Bull separated by just 8 points there, so a very interesting battle between those guys. And then we have McLaren and Haas slightly cut adrift at this point, unfortunately, but we'll have to see what they do as the season goes on. However, that is it for today's video, everyone. I hope you have enjoyed it. Slightly difficult Spanish Grand Prix for us, not the one I wanted, but what can you do? We did the best we could, a P5 finish, it's still some decent points, and we still lead the Constructors Championship. Next time out, we have the British Grand Prix, so I hope you will join me for that. If you have enjoyed this video, please leave a like on it. It does mean a lot to me. It lets me know what content you guys are enjoying or not enjoying, so please do that. If you are new around here, do consider hitting that subscribe button to keep up to date with this series and the raft of Formula 1 content that we have planned for next year. You don't want to miss out on that, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. However, that is it for this video. I hope you have a good rest of your day. I have been xSmithyx, and we'll see you in the next one.